Hi, I'm Emily Hazard.
And I'm Becca Anderson.
And this is Grey's Anatomy Uncut, a podcast where we discuss and analyze episodes of Grey's Anatomy. Today we're talking about Season 2, Episode 12, Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, originally sung by Elmo and Patsy, whoever the freak that is. Original air date is December 11th, 2005, written by Krista Vernoff, our love, directed by Peter Horton.
Our other love.
Yeah, true. And it had 15.7 million viewers, which is down from last week.
Yeah.
We're back.
Who's excited? Everyone raise your hands if you're excited.
We're back. I don't know if we're better than ever.
I am.
Yeah, okay. Becca's better than ever, but we're freaking back, and I'm excited. I'm pumped.
I am. This is a good episode to come back on, too.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah,
awesome.
Christmas episode. It's August, but whatever. So, let's get into it. I don't know. I actually might forget how to podcast. So, this might be rough, guys. And if you are discovering this years later, then there should be no break in between last episode and this one. But just so you know, there was a massive 4-month break for us.
Something like that, yeah.
So, we might not know how to podcast anymore.
I will.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm better than ever.
But we're back. Okay. So, do you have any follow-up?
No, because it's been 4 months.
Okay. Do you have an opening
follow-up
statement?
would be to listen to last episode.
Yeah, bitches. Listen to last episode. Anyway, do you have an opening statement that you would like to do for us?
I guess. Personally, I think this episode was all about Izzy, and Katherine Heigl does such an amazing job in this episode. Honestly, if you don't like Izzy, if you don't love Izzy at the end of this episode, there's something wrong with you because she's awesome in this.
Yeah, you should go get your brain checked out.
But truthfully, the patients were okay. You know, we've definitely had better, but we've also definitely had worse.
Sorry.
Let's say we have, some of the families are a little worse. But, so really I think it's all about Izzy in this episode and just how good of a job Katherine Heigl does. This is when she really started standing out for me.
Sounds good for me.
Yeah.
Freaking love Izzy.
Yeah. And it truthfully, I was thinking about this the other day, but this is honestly one of the best Christmas episodes of any TV show I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And if you beg to differ, let me know what Christmas episode you're talking about.
We will fight you.
Well, first I'll watch it, and then I'll fight you.
Yeah, we will fight you, and we're not afraid to cut a bitch. Anyway.
Unless it actually is better, which in case, bravo.
Brava. So Krista Vernoff, yet again, delivers a masterpiece of television. It's just utterly astounding that TV can be written, especially in kind of the modern era that we're in now. I would say the 2000s. Just, I feel like the height of television was the 1990s. And, with The Sopranos and stuff like that. So this is the very end of that amazing golden era of television. But holy shit. This episode is instantly an iconic episode. People know certain shots from the episode instantly. They know lines from it instantly. And Katherine Heigl, like Becca was saying, commits grand larceny in this episode because she flat out steals the show. I mean, Ellen Pompeo is the star, but she's not. It's Katherine Heigl, and it's more evident than ever in this episode.
Katherine Heigl's Christmas present to the world was this episode.
Yes, exactly. All right. So,
hello world, I'm Katherine Heigl, and I'm amazing.
Yeah, I know.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, well...
Happy holidays.
Yeah.
For anyone who's
you know
not.
what? And a Happy New Year. Anyway.
Even though it's August.
That's from Katherine Heigl. All right. Do you want me to read it, or do you want to read it?
I usually read the first one.
All right, go for it.
Gosh, it's like you forgot. It's an urban myth that suicide rates spike at the holidays. Turns out they actually go down. Experts think it's because people are less inclined to off themselves when surrounded by family. Ironically, that same family togetherness is thought to be the reason that depression rates actually do spike at the holidays. Yeah, okay, Izzy doesn't count.
So the opening song is The Christmas Song by Nat King Cole. Never heard of him. And
I think the Christmas group or something.
Yeah. And so we open in the intern house, the intern orgy house. And Chris... What?
Did you say orgy or OG?
I said orgy. The OG orgy house.
Oh, ooh. Fancier. All right, anyway.
Yeah. Izzy is decorating a massive Christmas tree in this living room.
Like, it opens, and I feel like most people think that they're like, yeah, I love Christmas. But this house literally looked like Izzy, like, chewed up Santa Claus and, like, spit him all over the house.
It looks like she had Christmas diarrhea on this house. Like,
I was going to say Christmas threw up on the house, so, you know.
Yeah, well, that's what George says. But I think George just goes for the easy option. It literally looks like Santa Claus had diarrhea all over this house. Maybe threw up, too.
Like, I don't even know if the North Pole is decorated this much at Christmas.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, anyway. If you don't love Izzy by now, I think you're a heartless demon. I think you are. I don't know what to tell you.
And if you don't love her now, you'll love her by the end of this episode.
And if you don't, I don't know what else a human being could do to make you love her.
Also, George comes down, and his hair...
Yeah, did you know that? That T.R. Knight actually did that?
No,
it wasn't
I didn't.
part of the script or anything. He messed up his hair and came around the corner.
But I just looked at that, and, like, obviously, like, it's night out. Like, it looks dark, you know, it's probably around dinner time. And my first thought was, he just had the, like, hardest nap ever. Because his hair, it's the most bedhead hair I think I've ever seen. And you're like, damn.
Okay, can I make a weird comment?
No.
I feel like Meredith and George's faces look so different. Don't they? Like, their features, the size of their face, the shape of it, it just doesn't look like it matches. Like, if they ever made out, it'd be like the weirdest makeout session ever.
What?
Anyway.
I mean, yeah, like, her face is really small compared to his, but...
Yeah, and just, like, their features, whatever. Okay, so George says, looks like Santa threw up in here. And then Meredith is like, just go with it. We're being supportive. As if. And then Izzy says the most Izzy Stevens line, I think, of all time. She goes, I know sometimes I can go a little overboard. She needs a shirt with her face on it that says, I know I can go a little overboard. That's basically her whole character.
Yeah, basically. And she looks so cute, too. Like, when she turns from the stockings, you're like, oh.
Like, oh, Izzy.
She's so cute. Yeah. So then we come over to Burke's apartment. Christina walks out, and Burke is one of those people that has the tiny, tiny little Christmas tree, like, standing on, like, a table.
Burke is the kind of grown-ass man who buys a mini fake Christmas tree and decorates it. Like an asshole. Like a real asshole.
I think it's adorable, but it's 100%, like, I think I had that tree in my college apartment, like, last Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, is he just, like, a college kid?
I am not.
And then we find out that Christina's Jewish, which you're kind of like, all right, whatever. I don't know. I just like how she said it, too. She's just like, I'm Jewish.
But is she Jewish? You know what I mean? Like, her stepfather was Jewish. Whatever.
Well, obviously, I think at this point, she's just saying it to get out of decorating this tree.
Yeah, because, honestly, who would really want to decorate this tree with Burke?
I don't know. I feel like I would. He'd be like, let's decorate this tree. And I'd be like, okay.
I thought you might like to help me decorate it tonight. Mark our first Christmas together.
And she's just like, ugh, I'm Jewish.
And then he's like, oh, shit. I'm so excited to do the Burke voice again. We're back, guys. We're back.
Oh my god.
Now let's go over to all 5 interns following Bailey down a hallway. She's waddling like she's Mother Goose, and the interns are her ducklings, which they kind of are.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's the only reason I mentioned this scene is because it's a clue that Bailey is going to be leaving the hospital very soon, and we might get a new resident to take over. Hint, we will. And it's epic.
Which I really like Alex, and he's just like, nah, they'll probably just let us walk around all unattended, which, granted, they kind of already do.
Yeah. Yep. There's a lot of evidence of that in previous episodes.
Like, he's just like, yeah, they're just gonna let us walk around unattended, like, haha, like, what do you think? And we're like, isn't that what they do already? Like, why do you even have a resident?
Exactly. Well, who even knows? So, then Izzy says, hey, you guys, we should all get together and get Bailey a Christmas gift for the baby. Or we could, organize some sort of Secret Santa thing.
I would just like to take a moment to imagine what gifts they would give each other.
Alright, let's do it.
Because literally, like, Izzy and George, I feel like, would be the ones that would be like, Izzy is gonna go all out. If Izzy gets your name, you're getting the best Christmas present ever.
Yeah, it would be, like, your ideal gift. Like, no matter who it is, she would nail it. She's Leslie Knope.
which, like, and it would be completely, like, wrapped perfectly with, like, this massive-ass bow on it, like, just all Christmased out.
Yep.
And George would be like, yeah, okay, like, I feel like, like, he'd put a good amount of effort into it.
He would try and fail. That's what I feel like. He would try really hard, but ultimately miss the mark.
But it would be, like, cute. He'd be like, I thought you would like this. Like,
yes.
I tried really hard. And he'd be like, oh, George, so cute. Christina would literally, like, they'd get there to, like, exchange, and she'd be like, oh, here's this half-eaten cookie that I found in the garbage.
Very true. Who even knows? She'd probably give him, like, something of Burke's. Like, here's Burke's Christmas tree. You took my tree.
Here's this Christmas tree I don't want to decorate. Alex would 100% forget. Like,
Alex wouldn't even come.
Well, yeah, that too. They'd be like, Alex, why aren't you coming? And he'd be like, I have boards just 24. God.
That was a flawless Alex impersonation. Flawless.
And then Meredith would be like, here's a picture of me so you all can know how important I am.
The best gift I could possibly give is my presence. You know, Christina's like, okay, listen, Tiny Tim, you can take. And then, you know, George and Meredith are like, sounds great, Izzy. And then Meredith says this line. She says, we're being supportive. And she, like, does this, like, little eyebrow wag when she says it. And, like, does this, the bitchiest of bitchy smiles. And Meredith says this line in the most unsupportive way she possibly can. Like, you know it is taking everything she has to outwardly project sympathy to another human being. To be remotely supportive to somebody that's not her.
I was honestly surprised that Meredith even noticed that Izzy needs supporting. Like, even though in the last episode, Izzy was like, hey, man, I supported you through all of this. I'm surprised Meredith even heard that.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, what? Pay attention to someone other than me? What are you talking
I'm
about?
Meredith, bitch. Anyway.
I have problems, too. Remember the guy who was married that I dated for, like, 2 weeks?
You remember how, like, we're OTP, we fell in love in 2 weeks?
Remember how that ended, like, weeks ago, but I'm still harping on it?
Yeah. Because I do. Now in Meredith and Derek's scene, which, you know, Meredith is probably happy about. She was really upset that the episode didn't start with her because she's the center of attention.
It did start with her, though.
Well, did it, though? I mean, it kind of started with Izzy.
Yeah, well...
Because if she could hear us talking in our intro today about how it was Izzy's episode, she would have a nice little talking to us. She would sit us down and talk about how this is her show because it's called Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, well...
Yeah. So Derek is just soaking in his man pain. Like, he's just moping around. He's holding it on his shoulders like he's a goddamn hero or something. I mean, he would win a medal for world's biggest sack of shit.
100%. I was like, I feel like Derek is just acting sadder on Meredith, so she'll talk to him. Like, he's walking around the hospital like, yeah, it's a day. And then he sees Meredith and he's like, oh, sad face, Meredith, comfort me, I'm so sad.
And then, like, his little, you know, violin starts playing.
Oh, yeah, and she's like, oh, no.
Okay, but that brings a good question. And this is just the very beginning of it. Well, I feel like 209 was kind of the beginning of it. But have you noticed that Derek keeps reaching out to talk to Meredith?
Yes.
And do you think this would ever happen in real life?
See, half of me thinks that, like, the only reason that they're still talking is because they work together. Because it makes sense. You know, like, they have interactions. But then there's the unnecessary interactions, like this. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, oh, hey, Meredith. And you're like, why are you talking to her? Like, there's no reason for this. Like, the only reason they should really be talking was be, like, in front of a patient or something in real life.
Yeah, because, like, I feel, okay, so if this ever, like, happened to me in real life, I would avoid that other person like the plague. Wouldn't you?
Like, unless you had to.
Because it would be so awkward. And they're just, like, basically flirting with each other. And I'm, like, surprised that they're already reached this level of comfort back with each other again.
It's a TV show.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's perfect for a TV show. But anyway, so, you know, they're like, hey. And then Meredith goes, you okay? You seem... And then Derek's like, yeah. You know, the holidays.
My man pain.
And then Meredith is like, yeah, I do know. Which I thought was cute. The way that she said that. I was like, oh.
Send him on his merry way to go wallow on his bridge of man pain.
Actually, to go tend to the most annoying 3 children I think have ever been on this show.
And, okay, I feel like these children could be cute if they knew how to behave.
They also, like, could just shut up. They could just stop talking.
That's, like, the behaving thing is it's, like, I feel like in a normal situation, you know, like, if you have kids in the hospital, like, with a parent, you know, like, the doctors come in, they'd be like, all right, kids, like, be quiet, like, the doctor needs to talk to, like, daddy or something. Yeah, or instead, like, they're going on, like, one literally flings the lizard at Derek's face.
In your fucking face,
Which is
Derek.
hilarious. And, like, the parents don't even flinch when that happens.
Pow,
Like,
pow, pow.
Like, it just kind of happens, and they're like, like, if that happened to me, like, if I had kids, and I did, like, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, child, go in the hall. Go into timeout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go in the hall. Go
and they're
get
just
kidnapped.
like, oh, isn't that so cute? And you're like, ugh.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I'm normally a kid person. But these kids are so annoying. Like, he fell off his roof, but if I had these kids, I might fall off my roof. And by fall, I mean hurl my body towards the earth. Towards my concrete death.
Yeah.
I mean, like
the one that just goes up, Jake. The one that just goes up to Bailey, I know karate. And Bailey's like, get the hell away from me.
Yeah, he's just like, I know karate. And I was like, shut up.
And you're
shut
like,
up.
alright, that's cute, but like, we're doing our job, honey. Move away. And Bailey, too, was just like, she looks at him and was just like, get out of my way.
I feel like actually, every single patient in this episode was supposed to show how annoying it is to be around your family. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
Like, I mean, that was kind of said in the opening statement as well. But it was supposed to, like, exemplify 3 different families. And they're 3 very different families. Mm-hmm. But they're all annoyed for one reason or another to be with their family during the holidays. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Oh, God. And I like how Derek's like, yeah, who wants to help me with this? And Izzy is the only... Like, Izzy's like, this family is amazing. And the 4 other interns are like, I would rather do it over my dead body.
I know I can go a little overboard, is basically what she said with her face. And as if it could get worse. We're going to cut to the worst family on Earth. Just horrible. Like, they are the kind of people that you know, like, goes to, I don't know, a national park and tries to touch a bison.
Honestly, like, they're so obnoxious. The only thing that could make this family worse is if Zona was somehow related and walked in when the doctors were presenting. Like, oh, yes, I'm back.
Ooh, I like the color red.
Like, I would have run over the mom way before this moment if I was Nadia. She's like, how could you reschedule my daughter's surgery for emergencies? I know these people are dying, but how dare you? You're ruining everything. We wanted to go to the tower. The needle, excuse me.
Yeah, whatever the fuck you...
Like,
nobody gives a shit.
Like,
nobody cares.
Get it. Like, it sucks, you know? But they're just acting like the doctors are the worst people in the world. And honestly, and like, then you have the boy that's playing with his stupid little video game the whole time. The TV's on loud. The husband is just a jerk.
Yeah, he kind of looks like a white supremacist, doesn't he? The husband?
He just looks awful.
Yeah.
And he's just like, are you saying my wife isn't important? I'm saying that your wife isn't currently dying, and so that's why we're not, performing surgery on her. Because the people who are coming in the ambulances are dying.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's fine until you guys annoy her almost to death.
Yeah, so anyway, George gets this family to deal with. And honestly...
Poor George.
Yeah, seriously. I don't really know if there's much to grasp metaphorically from that.
Other than this family is awful.
Yeah, and that George has notoriously been known for not really standing up for himself, i.e. telling Meredith how he feels, and letting Alex walk all over him.
Oh, yeah.
And so I feel like that's probably the only reason why they paired this family with George, specifically.
Truthfully, I don't think there's much metaphorically there with that family.
Yeah, so right now we're just trying to get everyone introduced here. So then we have another Meredith and Alex scene, and okay, here's my thing. I love Alex as a character, but at the same time, I don't like him. Do you know what I mean when I say that? Like, does that make sense to you?
A little bit. I feel like he's just one of those characters that you like, but he just does so much, like, either dumb stuff or, like, stuff to get in his own way that you just get so frustrated with him. Okay. Like, when he slept with the nurse.
Olivia.
Yes. Like, I love Alex, but he did that, and I was like, you are the biggest moron in the entire world. Like, I just want to come in the TV and strangle you right now.
But you almost don't want him to learn, and then, like, I don't know. It's just like, ugh.
Anyway.
Yeah. So, but Meredith and Alex are kind of kindred souls, aren't they?
A little bit,
I feel like Meredith sees a part of herself in him, which will be interesting if we ever get to season 8, episode 13, which I don't know if you know what I'm referring to. No spoilers, because that episode kind of puts a spin on that. But, yeah, so anyway, okay, this is what bothers me about Alex, is that he gets so upset over, like, he's just like, oh, feel bad for me because I engineered this bad thing to happen to me. It's just like, oh, I'm so upset over this thing. It's like, but you made it happen. Like, you had control over it, and you decided not... You know what I mean? It's like, ugh, just change your attitude, Alex.
Well, that's the thing, is, like, I feel like he puts obstacles in his own way.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's kind of like... Like, and then, like, the whole thing, he's like, Izzy's mad at me. I'm so upset. And it's like, well, you F that one up yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
and he's just like, ooh, feel bad for me because Izzy's mad at me. It's like, no. Izzy's better than you. Anyway, so he goes, I retake the boards tomorrow. Pretty sure I'm going to fail, which makes today my last day, and I get to spend it doing stitches in the pit. I'm like, dude, go drown yourself in the toilet. So he walks into the bathroom, and I just couldn't help but flash back to that one time that Meredith and Christina broke into the men's bathroom when Burke was, like, taking a leak in the urinal. Oh shit, you messed up my aim. I am spraying. So Burke strikes me as the kind of guy who's never really had a serious girlfriend. I don't know why I got it from this scene, but did you?
I think he's adorable in this scene. Like, he's trying so hard to, like, be such a good part of, like, Christina's life and just know her. And like, he's like, oh, like, when does Hanukkah fall this year? Like, what traditions and stuff? And she's just like, I don't care. What are you talking about?
And then Christina goes, oh no, Burke, seriously. I haven't observed religious holidays since I was old enough to know better.
So we cut over to Justin's room, and Santa Claus is Coming to Town by Lou Rawls
Love him.
is playing. So this kid's named Justin, and this kid is fantastic.
He's a fantastic actor.
He's truthfully, like, the only good patient of this episode.
Yeah. And I honestly don't think that's a mistake either.
No.
He is phenomenal. So he's this little boy that needs a heart.
Which, like, first off, you don't really get, and he's just kind of like, okay, like, cute little boy. And then his mom, do you hear that, baby? Santa Claus is bringing a new heart for you. And Justin looks so annoyed and looks straight at Burke and goes, tell that fat ass to give it to someone else. I don't want it. And I died.
When he said that. And so anyway, that's like
the mom looked like, oh, my son. And Christina looked like so amused by that comment. She was just like, yeah.
Christina was like, high five? No? What? And no intro because the showmakers don't respect my OCD. So anyway, This Christmas Time by Mascot and Dave Derby is playing. Oh, I just wanted to talk about the line where Justin says he doesn't want the heart, and Burke just simply asks, can you tell me why not? Because something about the way Isaiah Washington delivered that line was really satisfying. It was like a really good line delivery. Do you remember that specifically?
Yeah. I liked it. I don't know. I just got from that instance, I don't know, and like the way the line is too, he's just not being like, why? Like,
yeah.
Can you tell me why not?
It's like he respects him.
Yeah.
Justin's opinion.
Which I really like. And he's kind of like, what's going on, buddy? Like, can we fix something? Like, let me level with you, almost like.
But I remember being a little kid and being constantly annoyed when adults would talk down to me as a little kid. And I feel like Burke is like this is like him talking to a kid as if the kid is an adult. It's like how Atticus Finch talked to his kids.
Yeah. Then we get the glorious return of Patricia.
It's always glorious every time she walks in a room. I feel like there needs to be a pause for applause.
She honestly should have been a maid character. Anyway. Yep. But I just love this. She knows you're not in surgery, and she said to tell you, quote, we are going to our niece's school pageant this morning. You have known about it for months, and after what you pulled on Thanksgiving. LOL. And then she
I hate that woman.
Started to use a great many words that I don't feel comfortable repeating.
I have 7 surgeons on vacation.
Which, like, who? What surgeons do you have in this hospital besides Bailey, Burke, Addison, and Derek, and then the interns?
I have no idea.
No one. Well, except for, like, what did we... I feel like we've met, like, random ones, like, every once in a while.
That's a lot of surgeons, because there are 4 not on vacation. Like, 4 major surgeons. And then 7 on vacation, although that person could be on vacation. So there's at least 11 surgeons.
Which I guess is kind of like... I think the reason they include this... I mean, and besides the whole, like, Richard and his wife having issues... But it's also, like, because Bailey does so many surgeries this episode and is, like, exhausted. And I feel like half that's supposed to be, like, like, this line was kind of being, like, getting up to that, and so you're not just like, why the hell is Bailey getting every single surgery? Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, it's because literally he left every single one of his surgeons, except for, like, the 4 we know, go on vacation.
Yeah. And then Patricia...
The entire hospital's on vacation, except for these people.
And then Patricia was like, there's something about divorce. And I feel like that was probably a very important line to put in.
Oh, yeah.
Because, again, if we're doing that generational parallel between the older generation and the current generation, that's always important to note when they say stuff like that.
Yep. So then, cut back to more Meredith and Alex. And Alex is just... He's almost drowning in his man pain at this point.
Like, seriously.
Like, it was at, like, maybe his, like, knees or waist at, like, the first scene. Now it's literally over his head.
I mean,
You can have this patient. It's my parting gift to you.
It's like, wow.
Go barf.
How about that attitude? Go barf. That's what you want. You know how to binge, baby. Now it's time to purge.
Like, literally,
Go barf.
Literally, the next scene will be Alex and Derek crying together on the man pain bridge.
Just barfing.
And crying. Then we finally get the lovely queen in our scene.
And by that, we mean Addison. Well, and Derek's a drama queen.
Yep.
But you know what I love about Addison and Derek in this scene? You 100% love Addison for her personality and understand where she's coming from. 100%. While simultaneously, you 100% understand where Derek's coming from, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Shades of gray, baby. Because, you know, she's looking through a Christmas catalog, and she's like, ooh, for your mom, I got a lamb's wool blanket handmade from...
In Edinburgh.
Somewhere.
Somewhere in Scotland. Yeah. Edinburgh.
It's soft, comfortable, and says, don't hate me for hurting your son, except with fabric. And I'm like, borderline. And then Derek says, Addie, you know my mom loves you. Which, guys, I know that it's not until season 5, but please try to remember this line. Because...
Mark it down.
Yeah, mark it down, write it down, you know, commit it to memory. Because remember that line. It'll be ironic. Yeah, so Addison trying to win back someone's affection with gifts is pretty superficial. Mm-hmm. Although, for some reason, it doesn't bother me when Addison does it. Like...
I feel like it's just because it's so relatable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you cheated on your husband and then got back together with him right before Christmas, wouldn't you be like... Holy shit, the Christmas presents this year that I get for his family and, like, friends need to be so awesome so they don't hate me.
They're gonna be so awkward. Ugh, yeah, that would be terrible.
I don't know if I'd go for a blanket then.
Yeah.
It'd be like, here is these tickets for a cruise ship.
I sewed it with Derek's tears. Addison's just like, how about French food and Scottish catalogs?
Scottish?
In Scottish catalogs around 9. What? French food? I don't even know. How do you... What is French food? Like, where do you buy French food? What, are they just, like, eating snails or something?
No, I mean, like, there's French restaurants.
I don't think I've ever been to a French restaurant.
It's, like, a lot of the thing... Like, there are a lot of French techniques and stuff in cooking are, like, things that now just, like, a lot of people use. Mm. And so it's, like... Also a lot of bread.
Yeah, true. I'm there for that. So we cut over to...
Croissant with butter. I totally said that wrong too.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We cut over to Ulcer Woman and her horrible, horrible family.
Ulcer Woman? Her name's Nadia. Get it right.
Nadia and her shit
literally
bag of a family.
This woman probably has an ulcer for every member of her family. And the one that bursts later in the episode is 100% the mother.
She's just like, I'm tired of waiting.
Because the mother is horrid.
This mother puts Mrs. Rice to
shame.
To shame.
Like, yeah. Mrs. Rice looks at this mother and goes, that's my hero.
Yeah, seriously. Like, this mother would probably eat Mrs. Rice for dinner or breakfast.
Like, God, she's just... So, like, we have reservations at the Space Needle. Go there. Don't be with us.
Okay, first of all, I've been to Seattle twice. Who has reservations at a space? Are they talking about the restaurant at the top?
Think so.
Okay, because I was like, there's no way that you can get reservations to go to the top. I mean, what
also,
kind of
like,
asshole are you?
If I was George when they said that, I would have been like, good. go now.
Yeah, and you know that the daughter doesn't mind either. The daughter's like, yes, please. Which, actually, I was about to ask, don't you find it interesting that they never give the daughter a line of dialogue? It's like she can't speak for herself.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Or, like, maybe there's, like, 1 or 2 lines. But
I think it's supposed to be more towards, like...
the family.
Her family is so, like, loud and crazy around her that, like... Because you almost see it, like, sometimes she'll be, like, about to say something... Mm-hmm. And then, like, they'll just, like, cut in and, like...
Yeah, exactly.
They almost treat her like she doesn't have a voice. She does say a line. No, I've had 3 bleeding ulcers in the past 5 years.
Okay.
She says okay. But you know what I mean, though? It's, like, she's, like... She'll be, like, trying to say something or be, like, smile at George. And then the rest of them are just, like, shut up, honey.
Yeah.
It's not like you're the patient or anything.
Yeah, I mean, this episode's about Christmas, but it's really about family. When you get down to the nitty-gritty.
And how thankful I am that I don't have this family.
Oh, fuck that. So then we have kind of like this scene where Bailey doesn't know that Alex failed his board.
Which is so weird. Like, I feel like if I was Chief Weber, like, Bailey would have been the first person, like, hey, Bailey, you have these interns, but, like, heads up, one might not be with you. Like, what would she do if he failed his boards, like, tonight whenever he retook it, and then just, like, didn't show up tomorrow? She'd be like, where the hell did Alex go?
It's more that, like...
But it's also, like, she's his mentor.
No, and she's Bailey. Like, how did she not know? You know what I mean? Like, even if the chief didn't tell her, I expect her to know.
She just, like, reads their minds.
Exactly. Like, how did she not know? But anyway, Meredith is the first one that's like, he can't study for a practical by himself. If he fails again, he's out.
Mm-hmm. So she goes off to help him.
Yeah. And so we cut over to probably... I mean, we know that Katherine Heigl owned this episode, but I think Sandra Oh does her best work in the entire show in this episode. I mean, that's just an opinion, but
Didn't she win her Oscar?
I don't think it was on this one. I think it was on a season 1 episode.
I thought it was, hold on.
Was it on this one?
Yeah. This was the episode submitted for Sandra Oh's bid to win Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama Series at the 58th Primetime Emmy Awards.
Do you know if she won? I don't think she would have, because then they would have said that this is the
one that she
won. Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, and I mean it's clear from just the way she acts in this episode is just phenomenal.
She has 2 really good interactions with Justin. One being the scene that we're about to talk about, and then one at the end of the episode. Mm-hmm. And those 2, you're just like, ugh.
I find it so interesting that this boy is Christina in spirit, and it like makes perfect sense that she would know exactly what to say to him to convince him to have the surgery.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like we were talking about earlier in the episode where, like, Meredith and Alex kind of have that, like, kindred spirit, kind of, like, weird connection or whatever. Christina has it with this patient.
But I think even Sandra Oh has it with this child actor. Like, you know what I mean? I find it so interesting.
They had really good chemistry.
Yeah, I find it so interesting that, like, they can be such different ages and come from such different backgrounds, you know what I mean? Yet, 2 actors can still have chemistry even when they're, like, 30, 40, not 40, 30 years apart in age, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I find that so interesting, and just, like, the fact that they look so different might have been done intentionally just to show that their spirits are the same. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The human spirit is much more important than the way you look on the outside. You know? God, I love it. So anyway, do you want to do this quick little dialogue here?
Or?
'Cause you need it. And until you're 18, your mother calls all the shots.
My mother is a liar. You heard her. She said the heart came from Santa Claus. She shouldn't get to decide anything.
Yeah, well, you can make a run for it, but the heart you have won't get you very far. Like, see, I feel like that wouldn't work for somebody that's like Izzy, but somebody like Christina, that makes sense to them, you know? So anyway, we cut over to Mr. Epstein and his horrible family. All the families are just terrible. So by the end of this episode, I would like to rank these kids from most annoying to least annoying, and Jake, spoiler, not off to a good start.
I don't even know what they're talking about. Like, I'm religious and I don't even know what they're talking about. Something that happened for like 8 whole days and I don't know what they're talking about.
That's Hanukkah.
Oh. No wonder I don't know what they're talking about.
You didn't know that?
Well, I knew Hanukkah lasted 8, okay.
It was only 1 day of oil, but it lasted for 8 whole days and nights, and it was some kind of miracle. Like, hooray.
No, I did not know that. Well, We just got enlightened.
And then Jake goes, I wanted to say that part. Just like that. Like, that was exactly how that kid delivered that line.
And you're like, that's great, Jake. Next time.
Nobody cares, Jake. And then Leia, or whatever. Leah. God, princess.
Like, it's so annoying. Like, they're talking, and I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, because Derek is trying to tell the patient something important. The fall caused a subdural hematoma. And then the little girl goes, I don't even know what that means. It's like, nobody cares. Nobody cares if you know what that means, Leah.
Well, and it's also, like, ask questions, like, after. Like, he wasn't done talking, and she's just like, I don't know what that means. And you're like, shh.
And, you know, I don't know if the show is trying to be like, oh, look how cute these kids are. Or if they want us to be annoyed with them. Either way, I'm annoyed.
I don't know. And then, like, he's just like, that means your dad's brain is bleeding. And she's like, great. And you're like...
No, she goes, great. Like that.
And you're like, I'm gonna chuck you out the window, Leah. Shut up. And then they're, like, talking... You know, about like, oh, we need surgery or whatever. And then Jake, we don't need an operation, okay? And you're like, shut up, Jake. I'm gonna throw you out the window after Leah.
And then Mrs. Epstein is still, like, God, these parents are saints because these kids are so fucking annoying.
See, like, that's the thing is, like, we don't need an operation. Like, that's when you'd be like, hey, Jake, like, the doctor's talking, shut up.
Yeah, you just tell your kid, you're like, hey, maybe it's time to shut your mouth.
Like, that's maybe just not being respectful. And I mean, like, yes, they're young, but, like, you can still be like, hey, buddy, like...
Stop talking.
The doctor's talking.
Yes. Whatever.
Go get thrown out this window.
And then they do this super weird thing where Mrs. Epstein's like, we have a doctor named Shepard. And then Tim Epstein goes, Shepard? Is that a sign from God or what?
Like, the weirdest thing about this is, like, there's no pause from, like, we don't need an operation. And he's like, I think we do, Jake. And she's just like, hey, honey, you want to know something? And you're like, all right. Like, and the thing is, too, is, like, Derek just told them, too. He's like, oh, you know, like, the blade is in an area of the brain that controls them, like, speech and motor control, which, you know, you'd think you have some questions about. And then she's just like, you want to know what?
Hey, Jake.
Our doctor is named Shepard.
And then he's like, is that a sign from God or what? And then, like,
which you're like, is cute, but you're like, this is not the moment for this.
And then all 5 of these weirdos turn to Derek at the same time to stare at him. And it's super awkward.
And Derek is just like, ew. And Izzy's like, this is amazing.
And Izzy's just like, I can sometimes go a little overboard.
So can you guys.
We are in surgery with Burke and Christina now.
Mm-hmm. And then Christina, if I had had that mother, I'd be angry too. Actually, I do have that mother. Flashback to her. I'm redoing the living room in beiges.
Helen.
I don't know where she became so great.
Oh my god.
A non-fat one?
No, a fat one. One of the best lines of this entire show.
Can you imagine if Helen and Marion, or whatever his mom's name is, like, got together?
Ugh, they'd be inseparable. And then Zona comes in and just destroys everything.
They'd be like, have redone his entire episode, like his entire hospital room in shades of beige and Christmas decorations.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what the hospital would look like.
So then Bert goes, his mother is not the problem here. She loves him. She never leaves. She also never listens. She doesn't know him. Which is interesting that Burke and Christina have very, very differing points of views. And when you meet Burke's mother, which you will...
Oh my god.
It makes a lot of sense, right? It
makes so much sense. Why
that he would
like,
say
this
that.
Mother's so great.
I am a mama's boy.
Mm-hmm. Which it's like, I don't know. I'm not completely knacking, like, her mothering skills. Like, obviously, I think, like, she's a good mother and, like, she obviously loves him. But Christina does have a point. Like, no one really around this boy is listening to him and to listening to, like, what he wants and, like, all of this stuff.
Until Christina, basically.
Yes. And it's like, you know, obviously, like, I mean, I'm not a parent, and so I don't know. But it's like, yeah, there is, like, a point where it's like, you need to, like, back off and listen to what they want.
Yeah, and then Bert goes, you heard him. He doesn't want to live. I just hope he changes his mind before it's too late. And then Christina's like, what do you mean too late? And Burke delivers this line. I'm just going to read it here. With all medical realities being equal, why does one patient live and another dies? I believe there's a mind-body-spirit connection, and if Justin really doesn't want this heart, his body will reject it. So, the first time watching through this show, this was the episode that fully converted me from somebody who just kind of, liked Burke to the driver of the Burke bandwagon. Everyone else is behind me because I'm driving this son of a bitch.
I love this mentality. And he, puts it in such, a normal way. He's not being I believe in God or something. He's, believing that there's a mind-body-spirit connection, which is so interesting to me because I feel like this is something that you see in a lot of other things. I mean, there's just that movie out, If I Say or whatever, that when you think about it is literally all about this because it was the girls in the car accident and then the whole show is her basically deciding if she wants to live or not. And it's it's fascinating, I think, to think about that the patients have more control over a surgery's outcome, even though that they're not conscious during it, and that their soul mindset can have an impact on that kind of stuff.
Burke being spiritual instead of religious is kind of my mentality when it comes to religion. Exactly, Burke and I are very much on the same page when it comes to that sort of thing. But Christina goes, and this is kind of confusing to me, but whatever. She goes, let me get this straight. You don't just celebrate Christmas. You actually believe in Santa Claus? What? How did she get that from saying there's a mind-body-spirit connection?
I think she's just making a joke.
Yeah.
And your belief system or whatever is as silly as believing in Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy and stuff. When people are kind of that's a dumb belief, that's believing in the Tooth Fairy or something, and you're I think that's what she's saying.
Anyway, so let's cut over to Alex diagnosing the other interns, one of many scenes.
Oh my god.
And we start with Meredith. And I feel like they missed an opportunity to really dive into the psyche of the 5 interns.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't it be interesting if they all were diagnosed with something related to their ocean trait?
Yeah, that would be cool. Which they really don't, but...
They really don't at all. But it would be so cool. That would be, so subtle, too. You'd have to really, pay attention. But anyway. Meredith's Boston accent was all Ellen Pompeo. So apparently, she would just started doing the scene with that accent, and it surprised everyone, and P. Hort was talking about it once, and he was like, that's what makes Ellen such a good actress.
I just love it. I don't know, it hurts here and back here. I can't do it.
Any chance you got hit by a truck and forgot about it?
I love Alex.
You're judged on your bedside manner, Alex. I wouldn't be surprised if that's why you failed the first time. And then she goes, enough with the ego, you big baby. I gave up a surgery for this. Now, like I said, it hurts here and back here. Oh, and this morning I noticed my poop was a funny grayish color.
Which, wouldn't any gray color be weird? But, she's, personally, a funny gray color. I'm
I think she meant it was a funny color,
yes.
comma, it was gray.
Yeah.
Which, Grey's Anatomy. Anyway.
I mean, what other color would it be? I noticed my poop was purple.
I noticed my poop was a funny yellow color.
What the hell have you been eating?
Meredith is just blood.
Ew. Ew. We cut to the OR with George and Bailey. And George makes a joke that, granted, went completely over my head the first time I watched this. But he says, paging Dr. Karevian. Making a reference to Kevorkian.
Jack Kevorkian, who was a doctor who assisted at least 130 patients in assisted suicide, basically. Which, damn, that is way harsh, yo. But also hilarious. And Bailey goes, I get the joke. I just don't think it's funny. And then she does this little speech. You want to do it?
Yeah, sure. You see this, O'Malley? I make one mistake with this scalpel, and this man's dead. My husband, he makes mistakes at his job all the time. As far as I know, he's never killed anybody. But I have, and you will. And Alex did. He made a math mistake, and a man died for it. Run that past your accountant. See how you'd feel if every mistake he made, someone ended up dead. You don't have to like Alex. You don't have to care about him. But you damn well have to be on his side. And when she, first said this, it just, it really resonated with me. You think in your life, almost every mistake you made, I mean, granted, I don't have an adult job yet, but, even just in, school, mistakes you make on tests and stuff, and, at this point, teachers are yeah, it's okay to make mistakes, that's how you learn, but, at a certain point, for these surgeons, they can't make mistakes, because mistakes are the difference for them between life and death. Mm-hmm. And, you know, like,
I think it's more of a, like, the holy, like, whoa, Bailey's sticking up for Alex, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think it's not... I think he could have made this joke about any of the interns, and she would have stuck up for him.
But there's something about Alex that makes it different.
Well, I think she's also sticking up, because remember, right before the surgery, she found out he failed his boards.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I do really like that, where she's like, you don't even have to care about him, but you damn well have to be on his side. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, it's almost like a brotherhood kind of thing with, like, the police force, you know?
Well, because, like, at the end of the day, who are the people that are going to understand, like, what you went through today? And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, like, I was with this patient, like, this patient I really care about. Like, no one else is really going to understand that. Like, the people in this hospital are the people that are going to really, like, really understand what you're going through. Like, when a patient of yours dies, they're going to be the ones that are going to be like, oh, you know, like, I know how that feels.
Which reinforces the family thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you go home to your family, and they're not going to get it if you killed somebody today.
Yeah.
But if you go over to your intern OTP family, you know, intern family,
yeah,
they will understand, and they will be able to get you through it. So it's like, you don't have to like your family, but you have to support them. Mm-hmm. Then TR can act under his mask. Like, he's shaking slightly at the end of this scene. He's so good. God.
And then we cut over to the OR with Izzy and Derek. And Izzy. How cute are those kids? They're not.
Yeah. Debatable.
Like,
I can sometimes go a little overboard.
Like, I mean, like, granted, like, they're cute, and you're kind of like, okay. And then they open their mouths, and you're like, ugh, no.
And you're like, dude, show that thing shut. So anyway.
We don't need an operation. I will operate on you, Jake.
Yeah, I think he needs an operation, you son of a bitch. Anyway, so Derek is kind of being an asshole. And he's like, really, Dr. Stevens? Chrismica? He's just like, ugh. Nobody can be happy around the holidays when I'm sad. Derek kind of delivers the, you know what time of year neurosurgeons are busiest, Dr. Stevens? And Izzy's like, no, there's a time of year. It's like, how did she not know this? Even I could have told you that, but whatever. Well, there's no hard or fast rule, but brain injuries tend to pile up around the holidays. Like our friend here. Folks fall off their roofs while stringing up lights, or they go skating for the first time in a decade, break their heads open. And every year, people drive through blizzards to get to parties where they kiss germ-infected strangers under poisonous mistletoe, and then they get so drunk, they smash their heads against their windshield on their way home. Like I said, there's no hard or fast rule. And everyone's like, holy fuck. Everyone in this OR is like, well, goddamn, okay, Merry freaking Christmas, Dr. Shepard.
Like, what funeral did you just go to?
Yeah, my lord, what a downer. You know, you're not yourself when you're hungry, and in this case, Derek is hungry for some Meredith.
Or some muesli.
What'd you eat for breakfast? Go shout up your ass. This next scene with Alex and Meredith, when Christina's first assumption is that they're doing some weird, twisted role-playing. No. Can you imagine?
No.
If that's what was actually happening, Meredith would be like, say these lines.
Ew.
Do it for me.
Ew. That's just terrifying. I also just like Christina. Like in Meredith. What if it were you? It wouldn't be. But what if it were? It wouldn't be. She's just like, I'm brilliant, bitch.
And I know that as a fact. I'm a 55-year-old man. I'm nauseous and I can't stop throwing up. Forget it, alright? I didn't ask for your help. Okay, Evil Spawn, you can nurse your pride. Keyword being nurse. Or you can pass and be a doctor. It's up to you. And then any abdominal pain? Yes, from my giant fat belly all the way to my back. Oh, and I'm drunk. Hiccup, hiccup. Dude.
She's so sarcastic.
Some of the best dialogue ever written for this show is in this episode.
Her face when she does the hiccup, hiccup.
Yeah.
She's just like, I hate you.
I could not care less. There's no real analysis yet for these Alex and other intern scenes. It's just something that just makes Grey's Anatomy, is these types of scenes. It's just so funny. Love this show. Can we just talk about what Bailey is eating through this episode?
She's pregnant.
I know. And that's, like, I like how subtle it is. You know what I mean? Like, you don't notice it maybe the first time through. But it's very obvious when you rewatch it, you know? She's packing on those calories.
So then we cut back over to Nadia's room. And Backdoor Santa by Jet is playing. And her family is still insufferable.
Yeah, just an updating. Her family still sucks because Josh, the son.
Who are you, my dad? No, I'm the doctor. Jump out the window.
Man, Becca's really wanting to throw people out windows today. But anyway,
throw up.
Go throw up. Josh is like, who are you, my dad? And then George is like, sir, can you please tell your son? And then Jimmy. The dad's name is Jimmy. Whatever. Jimmy Neutron.
My dad's name is Jim and his sisters call him Jimmy.
Brain blast. Yes. Don't talk about my son. Who the hell do you think you are? I thought that was so funny.
I don't know, but right after that line, if I were Nadia, I would have thrown myself out the window. To been like, I'm married to this turd. Ugh.
Jimmy the white supremacist. He looks like a white supremacist. You should look him up because he literally looks like he could be a Nazi. Alex is
scary.
We're cutting back to Alex. And he is straight up assaulting Christina right now. Like, not kidding. Olivia Benson should just come out and bitch slap him.
And Krista, okay, the way you're grabbing me now, that's assault. And then I love, this is an exam. Pat. And I like how she just like say
She's just like taking his hand and jabbing it into her boobs. She's just like, this is how you do it. And then George comes around the corner and he's a little over dramatic as usual.
What the hell? Does Izzy know? Does Burke know about this?
No, I do not.
And Christina, unbunch your panties, George.
Christina lets it slide that Alex didn't pass his boards, and George is like, oh, that's embarrassing. It's like, George, have you seen the first, 15 episodes you've been in this show? You sure? You're a little bit more embarrassed.
Not even that. Did you see your hair in the first scene of this episode?
Did you see your hair? You look like a hobbit right now. He seriously needs a haircut. But anyway, he looks like he needs to go throw the ring into, the volcano.
And then I just love... so Christina leaves, and obviously now it's up to George to pretend, be impatient, play doctor.
And George goes, you're not giving me a rectal? Do not ask me to cough. I said it before, and I'll say it again. These 5 interns are the soul of this show.
Magic.
If you lose one, it isn't Grey's Anatomy anymore. It's not. It's just there's no way around it. You can introduce as many characters as you want, but there is no way around that fact.
They're awesome. All right, so now we go back over to Burke and Christina. Thank goodness. Mm-hmm. And we have this thing. So Burke, he says, you equated my spirituality with a belief in Santa Claus. So that answers your question. Mm-hmm. So then we have Christina, and she goes, Burke, science is the one thing. It's the one thing we have in common. I'm an intern, and you're not. I'm a slob, and you're not. I say I want to keep our relationship private, and you go and tell the chief of surgery, and you ask me to move in with you, and now you're religious.
Spiritual. There's a difference.
Well, not to me. I don't know what we're doing. And it's just... I don't know. I really like how she almost points out the obvious. That, because the whole time, they're going through this relationship, you're kind of like, these people are the most polar opposite. Mm-hmm. And with every episode, I feel like you're like, oh, maybe we'll figure out, what they're doing. Every episode, you get another, little take of, how they're not.
But at the same time, they really want to be with each other.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to me. It's they really want to make it work. Because, if you were so polar opposite with somebody, you would think, maybe we should just end this because it's just not working. But they really, really love each other. Maybe, I don't know if they've said love yet, but you know what I mean? It's just I don't know. I feel like this show could be studied in a psych class as an example of different personalities and how they interact. Mm-hmm. That's level that this show is operating on right now.
Just kind of like what Burke says. Is there a difference between spirituality or being spiritual, like you said, and being religious?
I think there is.
Mm-hmm. I think they can, I feel like a lot of people do use them kind of interchangeably. But I feel like what Burke is talking about in his sense of being spiritual is different than being religious.
Yeah.
Especially in this sense.
Well, and we get it a little bit more later in the episode, so we'll talk about it a little bit later. And then, Mr. Epstein wakes up and he's an asshole, whatever. And then Jake goes, you stupid shepherd, you broke my dad's brain. And you're he says it just like that.
And you're like, no, he broke his brain when he fell off the ladder trying to hang up your stupid Christmas card.
Trying to hurl himself to his, cement death. That's when he
they're just so annoying. He comes, they go in and, the dad's like, I have a headache. And she's like, let's sing! And
she's like, look at my ukulele.
Let's sing ukulele.
Didn't she have one? She was playing some sort of weird guitar thing. Whatever.
You know what I mean? He's just like, oh, my head hurts. I just got out of brain surgery. And they're like, we'll sing you this super annoying song.
Yeah. We're going to sing you the most annoying off-tune song possible. Because that'll help. So then after commercial, Izzy goes, you had his brain open. Literally open. He was lying there unconscious and vulnerable. And Derek goes, you think I poisoned him with my anti-holiday venom?
Which is such an interesting, like, theory, because I feel like this almost goes...
With Burke, right?
Into, like, the spirituality thing, and, like, you have that open on the table, like, not only does, like, the patient's kind of mentality have an impact on the surgery, but, like, there also could be some sort of, like, environmental, or, like, even, like, the surgeon's thing. I don't know, it was just interesting.
Yeah, and
to
so...
think about.
Yeah, I like that kind of thing, because I feel like you could be taught that in a psych class. Izzy goes, you're the one always saying there's a lot more about the brain than we don't know. It's like, he never said that. But I kind of like how they reference conversations that clearly took place off screen. And then, how do you know that your words didn't speak to him on some unconscious level? I mean, he trusted you to be his shepherd.
Poor choice of words.
And then, Dr. Stevens, you should be a little embarrassed. I am. Good. It's like, Katherine Heigl, don't be embarrassed, because you're amazing. Literally everything you say is perfect.
And he's still drowning in his man pain.
Yeah, whatever.
And then we cut back to Justin's room, where his mother's putting up a tree in the hospital.
Yeah, oh god, I hate these kind of people. When Christina's like, oh, this is the CCU. There are no trees allowed in the CCU. It's not like, oh, let me go check the rules. Let me go, like, make sure. She literally says there are no trees allowed. And then the mom goes, you know, it's never really been enforced, so...
Also, like, why would you bring a tree in there in the first place? Like, my first thing would be like, I'm gonna buy, like, this tiny little fake tree that Burke has in his house.
Wasn't it a little fake tree, or was it an actual tree?
I think it was an actual tree, because why would there be a problem with fake trees?
I think it's just...
a fire hazard?
Not a fire hazard. I think it's just that, like, if there was an emergency and people needed space, you know, you don't want a bunch of clutter all over the place.
Okay. Because I was like, I can understand why, like, live trees aren't allowed, because, like, that actually is, like, a fire hazard and, like, a lot of other stuff. But I was like, but then I also thought, like, why would this woman be like, I'm gonna go cut down this teeny tiny little tree?
Maybe she just cut the top off of a big tree.
One in the parking lot.
No.
They're, like, in surgery with him. And they, like, look out the window, and there she is, like, up on a ladder, like...
Yeah, she's just, like, climbed up a tree and is cutting off the top. Just, what a jerk. But I feel almost like Christina feels the need to protect this boy because this boy is a representation of her. Mm-hmm. Oh, God, it's amazing.
Well, I feel like this is also Christina being like, there's no trees allowed in the CCU, and your son hates them. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah, it's like her mother doesn't understand, or his mother does not understand him. And I feel like this is what Christina had when she was growing up, since she, you know, until she was 9, and Helen remarried, which is like the opposite of the Gilmore Girls.
And I also kind of like, I mean, I said before, like, we talked about that Burke would be a good dad, in that kind of sense. But I also, like, now, I feel like Christina could be a good mom, just, like, in the sense that I feel like she would actually listen. Mm-hmm. So, like, with her child, like, obviously she has her, like, flaws, like, you know, like, the whole not emotionless, like, thing.
Martian, yeah.
Yeah, but, like, just in this scene alone, like, you just really see her, like, protecting him and being like, you're not listening to what he wants, like...
I feel like Christina would be, like, the cool aunt.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think she would be a good mother just because she clearly doesn't want to be.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, let's go over to George
Cool
doing
aunt
his
is a good one.
best rendition of, I think, like, a ghetto dude, but he's just so goddamn white.
My throat, it's like wicked sore, yo. And you're like, shut up.
Plus, I got all these sick breakouts, right?
And
like,
Alex is like, shut up.
And he's like, dude, seriously.
And with the hair, too, it just doesn't help.
I know, he looks like a little middle school hobbit. And Alex is, you know, playing doctor with him or whatever. And I find it kind of hilarious how each intern is, quote, caught with a different intern, or with a different intern. So, like, Christina caught Meredith, George caught Christina, and then Izzy catches George here.
And I like how Izzy's like, are you sick? Like, what's wrong? So then Izzy kind of freaks out. Izzy goes, I say I like the guy, and you can't stop hating him. And as soon as he screws me over, you're his best friend. Which, like, truthfully, she makes a fair point.
Yeah, seriously.
Because they did. They shit on him a lot.
Yes.
When Izzy liked him.
And then, like, literally, that is a valid point.
Which, honestly, we can point this all back to. They all shit on him. And then the Thanksgiving episode happened, and Meredith and him had their little talk in the thing. And then Meredith was like, he's not bad. And then everyone else was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, because Meredith is the leader of the interns. Yeah. She leads this army to ruin. Just for anybody who's, like, super into, like, the production of this show. So during this scene when Izzy is walking and George is like, Izzy, they walk through kind of like a back area of the hospital, and they're actually walking through the back of the sets. So they're walking through the hallway that connects sets.
That's cool.
Which is really cool, which is why, like, they're in the hospital. Then she keeps walking, and you almost look like you're in an office building. Mm-hmm. It almost looks like. And then she turns the corner, and it's like they're back in the hospital again. It's because she was walking through a set, which is pretty interesting. And I like he failed his boards. This is important. He cheated on me. And then Meredith, busted. Yeah, I'm busted. And then Meredith, his exam is tomorrow. You're in on this too? He cheated on me. God. Oh, I told you she'd find out. This Christina. And then Izzy goes, oh, of course you're in on it. And George is like, she let him touch her boobs. And then Christina just, like, takes the tree and just, like, destroys George. She, like, the tree that she took from Justin's room and just stabs him with it. She literally stabs George with a tree.
He cheated on me with George's skanky stiffness.
He's just plain rude. We know he cheated on you. That's why we let you turn the living room into Santa's freaking village. I can go a little overboard. We're not big on holidays. You know that. But we're trying to be supportive. Debatable. Hello. Because you were having a hard time. But right now, Alex, he's having a harder time. Why does everyone care what kind of time Alex is having? Because he's dirty Uncle Sal.
George and Christina's faces.
They're just like, what?
When she said that, they're like, what the hell?
And I also love the blocking of this scene because it's like Meredith on one side, you know, and Izzy on the other side.
And then George and Christina are in the middle.
In the middle, yeah, it's interesting.
And I'm just like, he's dirty Uncle Sal, the one who embarrasses everyone at family reunions, and you can't be left alone with teenage girls, but you invite him to the picnic anyway. And Christina and George are like,
still lost.
What the hell are you talking about? Which, like, brings the question, does she have a dirty Uncle Sal?
I feel like everyone does.
But, like, is hers actually named, like, Uncle Sal? And that's where she, like, gets it, and she's just like,
I'm Dirty Dan. Do you remember that? Oh, you never watched SpongeBob? Oh, no.
That was so scary. What the hell was that?
I'm Dirty Dan. No, I'm Dirty Dan.
I'm Dirty Uncle Sal. You just spit.
I know. Just so everyone's aware, I spit everywhere just now. Yeah, so, but actually, you know what's funny is that in last episode, Meredith was like, if my mom hadn't gotten sick, I might have become you.
Yeah.
You know, she was like, I was staying out way too late, and everyone was embarrassed of me at family reunions. And now, next episode, again, she's saying Alex is the one that everyone's embarrassed at family reunions.
Oh, yeah.
Like intern family.
Mm-hmm. So then Meredith continues on and she goes, I have a mother who doesn't recognize me. As far as family goes, this hospital, you guys are it. So I know you're pissed at Alex, but maybe you could try and help him anyway. Sort of like in the spirit of this holiday, you keep shoving down everyone's throats. And you're like, damn. Yeah. That's where her support ended.
Yeah, also valid. And then Christina just goes, you. And then George is like, what? Boob. And then, like, just walks off. Her face when she does that. Also, there's a ton of Native American circle drawings in this hallway. Just tons. I mean, they're just dotting the hallways. You could probably jump from one to the next.
I also just like how Christina's just holding the tree throughout that entire scene. Oh, yeah, so Nadia, her ulcer, the mother ulcer, has burst because her mother is a pain in the ass. Somebody do something! No!
It's like, who cares? Okay, so anyway. Just another brief scene establishing Derek's emotional state in this episode, which pays off at the end of the episode, so we're going to talk about it a little bit. And also, this is great, when Addison comes in and she goes, Dr. Stevens, and Izzy just completely ignores her.
I like that. I like the reference to the previous episode.
Yes.
Like, keep the continuum going.
Yeah, because the chief was like, remember how you didn't talk to me, Addison, for years or whatever? Yeah.
Addison finds out that, you know, their dinner shopping little thing is out. because
And
this crazy guy needs to have another surgery.
And Derek's like, I'm sorry. And the Arrested Development narrator says, he's not. And Addison then goes, you're not. I'm just trying to figure out why you're not. It's Christmas, Derek. And Derek's like, yeah, I know. And Addison, it's our season. What's going on? Are you mad? Are you depressed? What? And it's like,
He's having extreme man pain.
yeah, he needs narcotics for the amount of man pain he's in. Somebody needs to sedate him because he's in that much pain of the man.
Just barf.
Yeah, just get it all out. Just, like, exorcist it. And Addison she's just like, I can't possibly think of one thing that might be taking your attention from me. Addison is a little naive. She's like, are you mad? Are you depressed? Are you still having trouble getting over this relationship that ended like 3 months ago? I just, like, what is happening? It's like, it's pretty obvious, Addison.
Yeah. So then it cuts back to this guy and his wife, and thank the Lord the children are not there.
Yeah, seriously.
And Here Comes Your Ride by Holidays on Ice is playing.
Mm-hmm. The show made such a big point to show Derek interacting with Mrs. Epstein, and I feel like they put emphasis on this because it's important. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's like Mrs. Epstein keeps saying, like, the love of my life. And I'm thinking maybe Mr. Epstein in the beginning of the episode is Derek when he's with Meredith. And Mr. Epstein now is Derek when he's with Addison. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I liked that. But I just like how you kind of, like, you get more of that connection with it. And it's kind of like, but you totally see that, you know? Like, that middle where the guy is like, I hate the holidays and all that stuff, like, that's 100% Derek in this episode. Mm-hmm. And having that metaphor makes me hate this family just a little less.
Well, because, like, Mrs. Epstein goes, we were a happy family, you know? And it's like, if you could just fix it. Yeah. You know?
And then we cut back to Justin's mom, who literally brought a priest.
Yeah, she doubled down. She's just like, oh, you don't like religion? You know what? You know what'll help? A freaking priest?
Did he ever say that he didn't like religion?
Yeah, well, it's pretty... read between the lines, you know what I mean?
Because she might be one of those people where you have to be like, you know, have to be like super blatant, whatever.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want your leaflet.
Which, like, truthfully, the priest is actually being pretty good in this scene.
I kind of like Father Michael.
You know what I mean? Like, it's his mother that's kind of being insufferable. Like, he's just like, there's no such thing as God. And, like, she's the one that freaks out, and he's like, calm down. Like,
can you just take a chill pill? My lord.
Yeah.
That stick up your ass, I could remove it if you'd like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really like what Justin says here, and he goes, and then I outgrew that kid's heart. So for the last 2 years, my mom has been praying that another kid would die for me. That's what you pray for all the time, isn't it, Mom? That's what she prayed for, Father. How does God feel about that? And it's just such an interesting concept to me. Like, does it make you a bad person to pray for something, even if that would mean, like, death or something bad for another person? But I just thought it was super interesting, and I wonder kind of if this also had something more kind of where Justin's more in that spirituality where he's like, mm-hmm. I'm not a bad person because I'm not praying to a God that some other kid's dying, like, or whatever, mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. Just,
like, wise beyond his years. He's, like, he's, like, saying stuff that, like, I feel like an old owl would say or something. Yeah. And I also really like the way this kid is acting this scene, because for the last bit of it, it's when he goes, that's what you pray for all the time, Mom. Isn't it, Mom? Like, he's, like, slowly drifting away. Yeah, he's slowly drifting away. And he does a really good job. This guy is tiny. He's a little dude. He's doing a really good job at acting. Mm-hmm. God, he's so good. Anyway, Code Blue, whatever. And again, the stark contrast between the calming, like, lullaby Christmas music and the really intense near-death experience is something that the early seasons do so well. Yeah. Like 107 with Alex and Digby. I mean, it works every time. It's effective every time.
It's really good. So then it cuts. And
this is the scene I was talking about.
Burke and Christina are talking. And Christina is, like, convinced. She's like, this is a bad heart. Like, we have to do something medically. Mm-hmm. And I just like when Burke says, the way you're feeling right now is why I have to believe in something bigger than me. Because if I didn't, that powerlessness would eat me alive. Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, you can practice and practice and practice until you can't get it wrong. Mm-hmm. And yet, people still die. And you still feel responsible. And if he didn't... It's a coping mechanism. Is basically why he's spiritual.
Yeah.
It's to help him, with his mental.
Yeah, and it's like, you wouldn't be able to go and have this job if, every time you did that, like, because there are times, you even do a procedure correctly and the patient dies just because of, X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and if you felt that powerless after every single one of those, like, you would not physically be able to have, like, that career.
I just love how Grey's Anatomy takes a huge, enormous, like, not arbitrary, but you know what I mean? Just, like, this generic, like, idea and boils it down into just such a profound sentence. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's really a testament to how good the writers are. And the clash between science and religion, they're doing it so well. Where it's like, I feel like you could go into this episode believing 100% one side or the other and not be offended. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's really hard to do.
Well, I like how they're kind of offering that it isn't just one side or the other, that there might be this gray area in between where, like, you do have the people, like Burke or something, where there is kind of a spiritual concept to it, but, I mean, it's still Burke. He's still very, like, methodical and, like, sciencey medicine. It doesn't have to be you're either a surgeon or you're religious. There's...
Spoiler alert, this show, later in its run, very much enjoys shoving their political ideologies down your throat. And it gets to the point where it's like, maybe you agree with that political ideology, but I don't want you to force feed it to me. You know what I mean? And so I feel like these early episodes do a really good job of presenting the evidence and saying, look, you're not wrong no matter what you choose because it's your opinion.
Yeah. Well, and they have, the characters who are on both sides. You have the Christina,
and you like them all.
Science, whereas then you have the Izzy, who's very much more like spiritual, Christmas, like...
You have representation no matter what kind of person you are, which is another reason
they don't go through the episode and they're like, like, one's wrong and this one's the one that prevails. They both prevail.
Exactly. And that's so hard to write.
Yeah.
God, that's so hard to write. Just this real quick quote, because it's freaking hilarious. When Bailey goes, "Are you kicking me under the table, Dr. O'Malley?" And then
George, he's like, "No."
Then clearly I wasn't talking to you.
The way he says it, like, he is so, like, shocked. Like, Bailey, like, I would never. And she's like, "Then shut up, I wasn't talking to you, you dumb."
Yeah. Oh, God. Classic. Okay, here we go. The only way I could possibly introduce this scene is Katherine Heigl.
So good. So good.
She commits grand larceny. And this is the scene where she steals the show.
Mm-hmm. Alright. Are we going to do this?
Heck yes. Alright, I'm going to be Izzy if you don't care. So, this scene, if you're already not familiar, is when Alex is sleeping on the hospital bed in the tunnels and Izzy comes up and slaps him in the face. Alright.
So funny.
So Izzy slaps him. Wake up. God, no wonder you failed your boards. What do you expect to learn this stuff by osmosis?
What are you doing here?
I'm a farmer, okay? I've been drooling, puking, and crapping in my pants.
You came here to help me study?
Well, I'm not actually crapping my pants now, am I?
Why would you want to help me after what I did?
Because it's what Jesus would freaking do.
Which is such a great line.
Oh my God. Katherine Heigl could play a 60-year-old gypsy traveling the world in a wagon, and I would buy it because she's that good. She is that good.
A gypsy traveling in a wagon? What?
That is how good Katherine Heigl is.
What would that show even be about?
It'd be called Gypsy Travels.
Weaving in the wagon.
Yeah. It'd be called Katherine Heigl could play a gypsy, and it would still work.
Alright, then we get Lo How a Rose Ere Blooming by Katie Curtis. It's a really weird name for a song.
Another classic tune by Katie Curtis.
And now we get the second Christina Justin scene that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah. And not to over-exaggerate, because I know I do sometimes. I know sometimes I can go a little overboard. But...
You need that shirt, too.
Yeah, I do, too. This is the best Christina scene in the show. That's what I truly believe. Now, that's just an opinion, but in my opinion, I don't think we ever get a scene that is quite this good with Christina.
And I think what she says also really emphasizes that kind of gray area in between, where she's like, you know what, I believe in science, but it's also like she's picked up on like some of the stuff that Burke's been saying, and she's kind of like, you know what, I get this too. And I don't like it, and I get that it doesn't have to be one or the other.
And that is a tremendous growing moment for somebody like Christina. And not gonna lie, I cry every single time I watch this.
So good.
Do you want me to read it?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm just gonna read Christina's little speech here. Justin is, just barely awake, I feel like. Yeah, he's waking up. Christina goes, I don't believe in Santa either, Justin. Or God. I believe in medicine. And it's a medical miracle you're alive. With the heart you had, you should have died 2 weeks after you were born. Except some surgeon figured out a way to give you someone else's heart, which is so much cooler than Santa. So I'm just saying, I think you should decide to live. Live so you can become a doctor and you can find a way to do heart transplants without someone having to die. Or live so you can grow up, so you can have kids, and you know what? Raise them not to believe in Santa. I mean, that would piss your mom off. Just decide to live. Because in your case, dying really isn't the best revenge.
So good. So good.
That gave me goosebumps, and I read it myself. That's how good I am. Like, that's just amazing.
So good.
I mean, other scenes with Christina become remarkably close, but never quite reach that level of profoundness. And just...
We get one...
beauty.
In 3:12.
Yeah. That
comes close.
Yeah, that comes very close, but not quite. Krista Vernoff, you are my love forever.
So good. Ugh. And then we cut back to the most insufferable family ever. And they just get worse.
This line is kind of funny when they're just like, thank God. And then the mother goes, thank God is right. Because we're certainly not going to thank you. I want to use that in my everyday conversations. Like with people who would be like, oh, thank God. Because I certainly am not going to thank you. That's funny.
Like, I literally wish George had just like bitch slapped her right there and walked off. Because it's like, well, you shouldn't be thanking yourself because you're probably the reason that her ulcer burst.
Yeah, seriously.
And then George, I love this. Okay, yeah, you could sue us. Or you could just consider the possibility of just shutting the hell up. And the mom is like, excuse you? Like, no one has told her off before, which I'm surprised.
I'm her doctor. She is my patient, and this is a hospital. Which is the kind of place where people generally could use a little peace and quiet. So no. Right now, you can't see her. And I'm not saying this because you just threatened to sue Dr. Bailey, who spent the last several hours saving your daughter's life, your wife's life. I'm saying this because she is my patient, and she is in the recovery wing of this hospital, trying to recover. And visiting hours are over. So good night. And Merry Christmas.
I just like... And then Bailey. The interns. Too emotional. Oh, apologies. She's just kind of like backing away. She's just like, my bad. Bye.
Oh, God. So and then we cut back to Katherine Heigl in the middle of committing a felony.
Again.
Izzy's just sitting on, the bed, crying. And Alex is standing there awkwardly. And just, it is so heartbreaking.
It is. She's one of those people, like, like Meredith's cried, whatever. Like, the other interns have cried. And you're kind of like, okay, interesting. But Katherine Heigl cries, and you're like, oh my God, I'm crying too.
It feels like your soul is broken. Like, that's what it feels like.
She's just one of those people that whenever you see her cry, you start crying too.
And it's like, my dad has even mentioned this. Like, when he watches her, when I watch her act, it's like I believe she's actually feeling those emotions. Yeah. Like, sometimes I'll watch it and I'm like, even with Ellen Pompeo, sometimes I'm like, okay, she's acting and she's feeling those emotions. But with Katherine Heigl, I really believe that she is sad.
Oh, yeah.
It's just...
She does such a good job.
Oh, my God. And I feel like it's one of those scenes that just demands attention. Like, teenagers watching it when they're on their phones or something like that, they put their phone down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one of those scenes.
And I just love... You didn't hurt me. I don't even know you. I'm a farmer.
The way that she delivers that line. I don't even know you. I'm a farmer.
And he's just like, wait, what?
And he's like, you're still the patient? And Izzy's like, yeah, what does it look like?
She's like, you dumbass.
Organic phosphates, you son of a bitch. What if Izzy was just that dedicated to her role?
And, like, as soon as he, like, diagnoses her, she just, like, wipes her eyes and she's like, good. Goodbye.
And then she gets up and leaves, and Alex is like, oh my god, I dated a sociopath. And so, but, like, when he's just like, that's it, right? And then she just goes, right. You know, like... And then they cut to this far away shot of it, and it's like Alex is not trying to touch her, which I appreciated a lot.
Yeah.
And she's just crying in front of him.
Mm-hmm. I think it's the best way that they could have had that scene.
Well, and it's also kind of like the worst punishment that Alex could have gotten.
Oh, yeah.
Is to sit there and watch her cry. You know?
Right.
But when he goes, I never wanted to hurt you. Like that. He says it like that, and I'm like...
So then we cut, and it came upon a midnight clear by sixpence none the richer.
Love this song.
It came upon...
Yeah, have you heard this rendition, though? Like, have you ever listened to it outside of the episode? It's great.
Fun fact, in 9th grade, in Mrs. Schnarr's class, we had to rewrite Christmas carols about, like, historical events. And for some apparent reason, I picked It Came Upon a Midnight Clear, and I rewrote it about Pearl Harbor.
I can do you one better. One of our mutual friends, had to do that same exact assignment, had me help her with it, and she picked Santa Claus is Coming to Town and chose 9/11. And I wrote that whole song for her, and it was so offensive. The song was so offensive because, like, we had written it together, and by together I mean I wrote the song for her. It was so offensive that when her mom read it, she spent the whole night writing a different song for her to sing in class.
Yeah, because we had to actually sing it in class.
Yes. I feel like I'll get arrested if I put it online. You can
sing it to me later.
Yeah. You guys are missing it.
I was just literally like, the U.S. got bombed by Japan. The U.S. had expected war, but they were caught off guard.
Hawaii is an island, yeah. Anyway, okay.
It was fantastic.
Wow, that sounds offensive as well. I feel like that's just...
It was not offensive.
Oh, it wasn't? Okay.
I did a beautiful job of discussing the history of Pearl Harbor
in a beautiful way that should be sung on December 7th in Hawaii every year.
Singing to the tune of It Came Upon a Midnight Clear with my beautiful voice. It would have made you cry.
Okay.
It made me cry when I had to perform it.
All right.
Because I had to perform in front of the class and it terrified me.
Baby Becca. Anyway.
All right.
Meredith is walking down the hospital, and the camera's tracking her, and so she knows she loves this. And so, she just smiles when she sees Bailey fast asleep, wearing an outfit that should be burned. His outfit is horrendous.
I feel like Bailey was so tired that she just went into the locker room, found whatever clothes were, like, closest to her. They're probably not even her clothes.
Yeah.
Like, put them on and was just like, peace out, bitches.
Yeah,
like some nurse is gonna walk by and be like, that's my outfit.
Like, seriously, this outfit should be burned. Because it's basically like a blind person dressed her. I mean, she is wearing, like...
pink pants.
Horrendous pink pants. This disgusting...
Which is so, like, the pink pant thing is so, like, 90s, like, early 2000s.
Yeah. This disgusting, like, striped, like, beach shirt, basically, and this just vomit-colored, like... green cardigan.
It's the cardigan that Alex barfed on her.
Yeah, and she's like holding, I don't know if that's her purse, but it looks like a beach purse.
I think it's her purse. That's like a giant ass purse.
Yeah, but look at it. It has like a beach handle.
It looks like a beach bag.
Yeah. I mean, what the hell? Anyway, yeah, she should burn them.
Meredith is walking out I almost said hotel. The hospital. And then Derek, of course, is like, oh, Meredith is there. I must talk to her.
And he goes, hey.
Hey. And Meredith is like, God, this freaking man.
She closes her eyes in pain.
Yeah.
And I love how the camera watches her do that. And Derek's in the background kind of blurry and she's in the foreground.
She did a really good job of acting that.
Ellen, great job. Yeah, because it's such a simple way of communicating how she's feeling about him. And then she just puts on a happy face and turns around and she goes, hey. Like that. And I'm like, dang, Ellen Pompeo's amazing.
And that was also, like, when she does that, it's like, I feel like that would be one of those things, like, if you ran into an ex in real life, that would kind of be the thing you do. Like, at first, you kind of be like, oh, good God. And then you're kind of like, hey, like, what's going on? Like, it's so realistic.
And then Derek goes, you okay? And Meredith is like, yeah, you know, holidays. And he goes, yeah, I do know. Which, like, is very overdramatic. But I do like the fact that they're showing that they're on the same page. These two are on the same page. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think it's also supposed to show, because the scene...
It's a mirror shot.
I think it's right after this. When he goes to the bar.
Well, it's like neither of them can really be happy.
Well, and it's supposed to be like, because immediately after this, he goes to the bar and tells Addison, like, I fell in love with Meredith. And I feel like this scene is supposed to really just resonate with the audience and be like, these two are meant for each other.
Well, it's almost like one of those things where as soon as you see that bar scene between Derek and Addison, you rewatch the episode and then you're like, oh, I see it now. Yeah. It's like, I mean, it was kind of obvious when you're watching it through the first time, but like when you really study his face after seeing that bar scene, you're like, oh, I see it now. Well,
that's the thing is, like, I feel like watching it this time, you did kind of get a little bit differently, like, because before the first, like, you're just kind of like, ugh, Derek whining always, or whatever, but like, you rewatch it and you go back and you're kind of like, wow, yeah.
And then Addison, the whole episode saying, you used to love Christmas, you know, like, what's wrong with you, you know, and it's like, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Like,
right
this
there.
is like the big aha moment of the episode.
Mm-hmm. So then, so let us cut over to the bar scene. And I like how it's immediately following it. Like, Derek needs to tell her, basically. Mm-hmm. And so, Joe already has his double scotch single malt ready. And Derek goes, you're a good man. And then Addison attempts at flirting with her husband, who doesn't look completely disgusted with her like he did in 208, so we're making progress.
Yeah.
How's Mr. Epstein's frontal lobe? He woke up smiling. I like the choice that we never saw it, though.
Which, like, thank God we didn't see those children.
Because you know those kids would just be like, thanks for nothing, Shepherd. It's
or like something stupid, like, Santa brought Daddy's brain back. And you're like, no.
Or like, Daddy loves us. It's like, well, he's the only one.
You're like, can you just shut up and let us have this happy moment? God.
So anyway, Addison goes...
He's so cute. Derek. The picture of Derek. Him smiling. I was like, oh. So
yeah,
cute.
he is really cute. Although his hair is out of control. Addison goes, Christmas, Derek. We love Christmas. At least we used to. And then Derek, this is a great speech. Krista Vernoff, I love you. Yeah. Christmas makes you want to be with the people you love. I'm not saying this to hurt you or because I want to leave you, because I don't. Meredith wasn't a fling. She wasn't revenge. I fell in love with her. That doesn't go away because I decided to stay with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what's interesting is that when he goes, I'm not saying this to hurt you or because I wanted to leave you because I don't. Meredith wasn't a fling. That whole time he's saying that, the camera's on Addison. Mm-hmm. And you get to see Kate Walsh's reaction to it, which is an interesting choice because it's like Derek is dropping like big news here and we never really see him say it, you know? Yeah.
I also like with this, you really get the sense that Derek is still kind of, I don't know if conflicted is the right word, but because you could definitely see, like, obviously he still loves Meredith, you know, like that is still there. He said it, you know, like that doesn't go away. But he also, like, when he's saying, like, I'm not saying this to hurt you because I want to leave you, like, I don't, or whatever, like, I decided to stay with you. He does really care about Addison. Mm-hmm. And you can tell that, you know, he's not being like, I loved Meredith and you ruined everything for me. Like, I don't know. I really liked that because it wasn't, you know, he's not saying it in the sense of, like, I'm trying to hurt you, Addison, or, like, something. It's like, I'm saying this because I think you need to know this if we're going to make this work or something. Or, like...
Do you think him...
Or, like, I need to be honest with you.
Do you think he's saying it for the first time out loud because he needs to hear it? Because
I think, yes, that too.
Because remember Meredith in 205 said, I'm in love with you, you know, like the kind of hold the radio outside your window. But he never said it back.
Yeah.
You know, he's never said it out loud.
Well, I think that's also, him saying it out loud is going to help him start dealing with this. And so I think that was also, like, why he needed to say it to, like, Addison.
Yeah. It needed to be said.
Yeah.
Because if he never said it, then she would have, you know, I feel like ever since he chose Addison, it's been kind of like boiling. And when he's away from Meredith is when he realized, he's like, wow, I really miss her.
Yeah.
You know, like I actually really miss her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just another example of the audience knowing way more than Meredith. You know, from Meredith's point of view, he's he's, not in love with her at all.
Yeah.
He doesn't care, But from our point of view, we're like, oh my god, they both love each other and they're just separated,
Mm-hmm. So we cut back over to Burke's apartment, which he's reading a book called Exploring Judaism.
He is so adorable.
He's literally like, my wife told me she has this... It'd be like something like, my wife. I just called her his wife. It'd be like me telling Emily, like, I have this distant relative who's, like, from France or something. When you, like, go getting, like, a book about France. Because you're like, I need to learn about you.
Yeah.
That's literally what Burke is doing.
Did you just compare me to
Yes.
your wife? Anyway.
I don't have a wife, either.
Why no?
Did you just compare me to your wife?
And then, Christina, Justin took a turn. His fever's down and his BP is up. And then Burke says, I wonder what got through to him. How does Burke know?
I always got the feeling, like, in the earlier scene when the priest is talking to Justin and Christina was kind of listening.
From, like, the hallway?
Yeah. I always kind of got the impression that, like, Burke was standing there and, like, listened. And was just like, I can hear you.
You are not whispering. Is he wearing beige or is that yellow?
I think it's beige.
Good
It's
Lord.
like a beige yellow. I don't know.
Burke!
Literally, I think Christina's mom loves him because she's like, your whole closet is beige.
Yeah. Earth tones. Monotone. So, Meredith is wearing dark green again. I feel like that's her color.
It's a good color on her.
Yeah, it really is.
Although any color looks good on Meredith.
And then she comes around and Izzy is just like laying on the floor underneath the Christmas tree and the lights are flashing or whatever. And Meredith just goes, pretty. Like, she looks so bored. And Izzy's like, yeah.
Izzy's like high under this tree.
I know. She's like getting like stoned on these lights. She's like,
I've been smoking our Christmas tree.
yeah. Got rolled into a joint and smoked it. So anyway, Meredith and Izzy are now staring at the tree. And this scene is instantly iconic.
And George is so cute. What are we doing?
Lights.
But it's so cute. And then they all lay down under the tree. And it's such an iconic little moment.
It's such an iconic shot, just like the shot of Grey's Anatomy of the three legs under the tree and then also the dog, of course.
Doc, yeah.
And so then we get this closing speech. There's an old proverb that says you can't choose your family. You take what the fates hand you, and like them or not, love them or not, understand them or not, you cope. Then there's the school of thought that says the family you're born into is simply a starting point. They feed you and clothe you and take care of you until you're ready to go out into the world and find your tribe. Which is, like, so accurate. Like, even just in my life, I've experienced that kind of thing. Where there's, like, different kinds of family,
It's awesome. I love it.
Seriously Count is 8 this episode.
High.
That is high, yeah.
And it's the highest one we've had so far this season.
I don't think so, because I would think that 205 would be the highest.
Oh, it might.
I can't remember how many it was. It was a while ago.
It's up there, though.
Yeah, it might be the second highest.
Okay.
So, patient rankings.
We have the exact same ones, so we're just gonna go through it together.
Okay, so my number 3... number 3 was Nadia and her horrible family.
Because, like, I don't know, kind of like what we said before, there's just really no, obviously, like, they enforce the meaning of, like, different types of family and all that stuff, but honestly, like, they don't really do that much, and the other two are just better, so whatever.
Yeah.
And her family sucks. Number 2 is Tim, mostly because, obviously, like, Justin's gonna be number 1 because he was awesome, but, he at least kind of brought something. You had that whole metaphor with Derek and then his differing relationships with, like, Meredith versus Addison. So you kind of had that meaning.
Yeah, like Dr.
Jekyll. Patient.
What is it, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he would have been higher if his children weren't so annoying.
Ugh, gross. And number 1, there's just no
question.
There's no even debate. It's Justin, because he was phenomenal. That kid, I'm surprised, because I looked up his IMDb. He didn't really do much after this, but he's such a good little kid actor, you know what I mean?
He did such a good job in this episode.
Yeah, and
kudos to him. I would have given him an Oscar.
He had great chemistry with Sandro.
Are Oscars for TV? I don't know.
I don't think so. Oscars are for movies.
I'll give him the Becca Award.
Ooh.
That I just made.
Ew. Make one change?
Just Photoshop me into this closing picture. Like, have all of them with their, like, feet sticking out of the tree, and then just, drawing Becca on the side.
Here's your homework, Krista Vernoff.
God, Krista.
Yeah, nothing. I think that this was probably the best Christmas episode of any TV show I've ever watched in my life. And I honestly don't know if anything's going to top it. But anyway, next week we are talking about Season 2, Episode 13, Begin the Begin, written by Kip Koenig and directed by Jessica Yu.
Mm-hmm. And that one has arguably one of me and Emily's, or Emily and me, whatever the correct English is.
Emily and my.
Whatever. Favorite characters of all time. So even if you hate the podcast, come back next week,
If you hate the podcast, how did you get this far into this episode?
I don't know. Maybe they'd love to hate us. I don't know.
I love to love me. I'm Meredith.
That's disturbing.
Okay. Yeah, so come back next week. So we have some shout-outs. We actually had some Twitter interactions with people.
Whoa.
Which blew our freaking minds.
We were so excited.
Yeah, because we had no idea that we had listeners, and now we might have one. So if you actually do listen, just, give us a sign or something. Just be like, hey.
Yeah, like it, retweet, do something.
Just tell us, hey.
Send some smoke signals.
Someone is listening. That would be great.
Yeah, and we'll be having a party.
In order to do that, if you want to get in touch with us, we're both on Twitter. I'm at hazard_Emily. Becca's at Anderson_Becca. That's Anderson with an E, not an O. And the account for the podcast is at Grey's Uncut. Longer questions and comments can go to greysanatomy_uncut@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Get excited for the best patient of all time.
Debatable, but get excited. All right, see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.